I'm sorry, Mom. I'm not gonna be able to make it. I know. Someone stole my keys right out of my door. I can't lock my house. I really shouldn't leave right now. But, oh. Well, thank you for being so understanding. Yeah, I'll call the locksmith right away and we'll figure out a new time to hang out, okay? I love you. Talk to you later. Bye. What? Just because the mom in this movie is horrible and manipulative doesn't mean mine is. Hi everybody, Anthony here from Awesome Anthony Productions, and today I'm going to be talking about Ari Aster's 3-hour nightmare comedy, Beau is Afraid. But before we get started, you know exactly what to do. Please leave a like, subscribe, and ring the bell so that you never miss any of my reviews or shorts. I really appreciate the support. Now let's get into it. Mild spoilers ahead, but pretty much everything I'm going to say was shown in the trailer. So, now I could give you this huge, sprawling breakdown of the film and the story, but really all the story boils down to is two things that our lead character, Beau, played by Joaquin Phoenix, has to accomplish. Number one, he needs to get to his mom's house.
I'm visiting my mother tomorrow.
But someone stole the keys out of his front door of his apartment. And number two, he needs to get some relief to take care of a, decades-long backup, if you know what I mean.
With sex!
Now this is going to be a very interesting movie to discuss, so if I were you, I would drop any sense of entanglement to reality before I get started. Because if you don't,
you're gonna have a bad time.
Like Mother, this is a movie to be absorbed, pondered on, and then discussed. Not something for people to hyperfixate on every little detail and make a bunch of ending explain videos about. Ari Aster is known for making his scripts very therapeutic and dealing with issues from his personal life throughout his filmmaking.
Don't you ever raise your voice at me! I am your mother!
Look, I don't mind you going. I just wish you would have told me.
So with that in mind, going into this movie thinking about it as a metaphor, and thinking about what the movie is just trying to say, instead of overanalyzing all the bizarre, seemingly random scenes and horrific vignettes that populate the runtime, will definitely help you enjoy the movie and just get that more absorbed into the story. But even without the metaphor here, there is a lot to unpack in this movie, and so much of it is sad and disturbing.
Oh, son of a bitch! Jerry, don't!
I want to see.
No, you do not!
When it's not making me laugh with its fantastically dark humor, or just laugh out of sheer shock and bewilderment at the crazy shit I was seeing on the screen. For instance, there's Beau's world around him. For anyone that's ever experienced anxiety, especially in the middle of a crowded environment like this, the first 45 minutes of this film should be pretty relatable and shows you exactly what could happen if all of your worst fears and anxieties get dialed up to 11 and the worst thing happens in every situation. It's also a great glimpse into what the humor is going to be like in the rest of the film. This fucked up first act is all about us seeing the world through Beau's eyes. Seeing his experiences with murderous, crazy, naked homeless people right outside of his apartment building, his horrifically run-down apartment with constant noise of bickering, violence, and gunshots in the background, his fear when taking a new prescription drug, and even the anxiety to sprint across the street to get a water bottle when you don't have keys to your apartment, trying to search through all your change to pay for the water as you watch homeless dude after homeless dude just shuffle into your fucking home. If you just take all of this at face value and don't think of it in terms of metaphor and showing us Beau's anxiety, this first segment could be a grueling exercise in terror.
It's too much.
But if you think about it through that lens, and absorb Beau's completely genuine and realistic reactions to the absolute sheer insanity around him, it actually gets pretty funny in a dark way. From there, when Beau is hit by a van driven by an intensely kind Amy Ryan as Grace, and an over-the-top, slang-spouting Nathan Lane as Roger, they take him back to their house to nurse him back to health. And while he's at this home, we see a lot more of the incredibly dark humor that's throughout this movie, while he fends off their increasingly unhinged and straight-up evil at some points daughter Tony, played by Kylie Rogers, and tries his best not to trigger the mute, PTSD-ridden Jeeves, played by Denis Menochet. This whole segment plays up the idea of suburban terror, giving us a smiling, kind-hearted couple in a nice picket fence neighborhood with a harrowing backstory and darkness behind their eyes, only accentuated when their foul-mouthed, drug-abusing daughter shows up to mentally torture Beau. And it's pretty damn funny, honestly. The writing is truly brilliant as well, and the layered performances of everybody playing this fucked up family, playing off Phoenix's realistically petrified Beau, is just great filmmaking. Just like in the beginning segment, I constantly laughed, I gasped a few times, and I was straight up in shock at one point. From there, Beau's adventure introduces him into a traveling theater troupe, people that live off the grid and go from like wilderness to wilderness in different areas putting on these plays, and a beautifully executed animated segment that basically tells a hero's journey type story with Beau as the main character for about 15 or 20 minutes. I won't say much else about this scene, but this was easily one of my favorite parts in the movie because not only is it just a stunning joy to look at, but it really gives us an insight into Beau and his desires, and we learn more about that character and get to sympathize and feel for him a little bit more. No spoilers, but after this, Beau finally works his way back to his mother's for an unforgettable climax and ending that simultaneously blew my mind shocked me, frustrated me, and gave me a ton to think about on the way home. Oh, and made me audibly yell out, "What? What the f-" Don't worry, my theater was empty. I know I've already talked for a while trying to give the briefest plot summary of this magnum opus as possible and keep it spoiler free, but this movie is a lot to digest. Thankfully, I can say that so much of it works, and that's not really a surprise given that Ari Aster wrote and directed it. Especially with the tone and world that Aster has set up here, where something can go from laugh out loud funny to realistically grotesque and disturbing within seconds, usually in the same scene, with the last act of the film getting progressively more and more fucked up as it goes on. And that disturbing, horrific content that would be at home in Hereditary or Midsommar is just accentuated and complemented by the dark humor that's really reminiscent of Ari Aster's early shorts, like something like Basically or C'est La Vie.
And don't even get me started on AIDS!
And the comedy, drama, and horror aspects are all given that much more weight thanks to Aster's amazing script and great direction, along with the strength of the cast. Phoenix is great here, giving all of the signs, tics, and behaviors that a 50-year-old virgin riddled with anxiety that has spent a lifetime dictated by his mother would probably have. I mentioned the family that he's with in the second act earlier, Amy Ryan, Nathan Lane, and Kylie Rogers, and they're perfect in their roles as well, switching between sympathetic, comedic, and sinister in a moment's notice, and that whole segment made me laugh but simultaneously got under my skin in the best of ways.
Does anyone else have the heebie-jeebies?
A few performances I haven't mentioned that definitely deserve a shout out, but not really much else because they're kind of spoilerish, include Parker Posey as Elaine. I'm not going to say anything else about her, but I'm just going to say she's great and she has a brief scene-stealing appearance. Armin Nahaptian as young Beau in flashbacks, along with a younger version of his mom played by Zoe Lister-Jones. And finally, the current version of his mom played by Patti LuPone. All of them are great, but Patti LuPone takes the cake here. Her performance is perfect and just really goes a great way in driving those themes home and tying a nice little bow on everything. I could go on and on and on gushing about this movie, so I'll just end it with this before I wrap it up. This is not a movie for everyone, like at all. The runtime, the metaphorical nature of the story, the disturbing imagery and themes, and the ending are sure to upset a lot of general moviegoers, and I honestly have a hard time recommending it to anyone I know outside of my best friend. That being said, I loved it. I loved almost every aspect of it, and I think it's so great that A24 gave Ari Aster the chance to have this bigger budget 3-hour epic that they basically knew no one was gonna see, let alone the fact that they released it in IMAX.
Let's give it a shot.
It's definitely a grueling experience, but if you can handle and absorb everything that Beau is Afraid is going to give to you, this is a really rewarding film for film buffs, horror fans, A24 fans, and especially Ari Aster fans. So yeah, that's my review of Beau is Afraid, an incredibly unique, beautiful, disturbing, and thought-provoking character study turned epic adventure that is sure to become a cult classic, since it's definitely not making any money. Thanks for watching, everybody. I've been Anthony from Awesome Anthony Productions, and if you like this video, you know what to do. Please hit that thumbs up button and leave me a like. It really helps with the algorithm so that I can reach a bigger audience. You can also comment with your thoughts below, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss any of my new content. And while you're at it, you can click or tap on these cards here. They'll take you to my review of Evil Dead Rise, or just over to my channel where you can check out my reviews, my shorts, and my old shit. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and I will see you next week for my review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.